Good day. Thank you for coming back and joining Cafecito Chats. Today it's a brand new year. We're kicking it off 2026. So thank you for joining and for listening and tuning in to Cafecito Chats. Today's topic is a brand new year. What are you planning? So that's the goal, right? That's the idea. And part of that is if you know brand new year, a lot of people have new goals, so they come up with new goals and they set new goals. But I also want to ask, how do you prepare to keep up with those goals? And if you had goals that you didn't finish from last year, do you just give them up or do you carry them over into this year and come up with a new plan of action to continue moving forward? So that's the three big topics or ideas that we want to explore today. So, new year, what are you planning, right? What are the goals? Let's go in that order and let's see. Sianya, thank you for joining us. You're still a student at UCSD. Brand new year. Happy New Year to you. New year, do you have any new goals? And how do you prepare to go with those goals? I don't know if you can turn on your mic. No, she might not be able to turn on her mic. Okay, she might be in school or class, but still, thank you for joining us. Alex Polo.
She's in the library.
Ah,
She
she's
says
in
she
the
can't,
library. I see.
but
Okay,
she's gonna
great.
listen.
Thank you. Yeah, listening is just great. Same thing works great for us. Polo, thank you for joining us. Happy New Year to you, sir. You're quite the traveling man, joining UCSD at several of their alumni events. Any updates from you as far as new goals and or if you actually have goals that you are carrying over, how do you carry those over and continue moving forward? Let me see. Are you there, Alex?
Hey, sorry about that. I got
Yeah.
disconnected right as you were introducing me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so the question is, thank you for joining us. If, brand new year, new goals, do you have goals that you're planning for this time, or do you carry some of the past year goals, and how do you continue moving forward with those? Alex?
Yes. And then sorry about this, but my app is telling me, well, it was telling me right now I can't access the microphone, go to settings. So that's when I went to settings
Yeah.
and I got disconnected. And now it's telling me I can't access the camera. So,
No, you're fine. If
all
it's
right, all
not
right.
one thing, it's another. So
I know,
you're
right?
fine.
What a
Yeah.
way to start the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as with any year, just going back even to my sales career, you always have to do your goals for what you want to accomplish during the year. Uh, and one thing that they encourage you to always do is set your goals higher than realistic. That way, the old saying, if you shoot for the stars, you'll at least hit the moon, kind of thing. Uh, so yeah, it's always about setting goals and make sure they're higher than you can achieve, because if you just set them to where you think you can do, then that's all you're gonna do, right? You're not gonna force yourself to do more, and that's always been how I've planned. Having said that, do I reach my goals, end up reaching my goals? No, but because they're higher, at least I get something done, right? Uh, and So now that I'm in this new career for the finance industry, pretty much doing the same thing now. And it's funny because during the trainings that they give us and all, they talk about that. They're like, yeah, don't set goals that are low enough that you can reach them. They set them higher so you can keep growing and achieve more. And again, that I think that's just in general throughout the industry, both financial and in anywhere in sales, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting um, take. I'm gonna be a devil's advocate here. If
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you do set lofty goals and you consistently do not reach those goals mentally, you feel like a failure to some extent? Or
Uh
how do you deal with that? Just I'm just being a
yeah,
devil's
no.
advocate here.
Yeah, I understand your statement. No, not at all, because in the end you grew, you know,
Okay.
you achieved something, and even though you didn't achieve the goal, you look back and you're like, oh, compared to last year, I did much better.
Right, right,
So
right.
that's how
Yeah,
you look at it. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just gonna equate it to a lot of people setting the goal of losing weight. Mr. Mike and I were talking about, gaining weight over the holidays and whatnot. A lot of people, and I would venture to say about 90% of the people that actually set goals, that's one of the top ones that they actually say, I will lose weight, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's not a measurable goal. You don't really specify how much you intend to lose and by when and how you're going to be accountable. So, literally, I'm trying to indicate make it a smart goal where you can actually keep track, be accountable for it, and have some sort of plan. So, if you say, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, that seems achievable, right? But if you say by next week, that's a little too much, too fast, and that might not actually work. So, depending on the time frame that you set, that could be an achievable goal and that builds up on it. So that's what I'm getting at. If you want to set a goal, make it achievable, make it trackable, make it measurable in some sort of way. If you, for example, it's I'm going to keep up with the weight loss. If you say I want to lose 20 pounds by October, then work your way back and say, okay, how many pounds do I have to lose a month? And is that achievable? Yes or no? In addition, what are you going to do? Break it down a little further as to what do I need to do? How many times a week do I need to work out? Do I need to go to the gym? Now, if you really want to, transfer this into a goal, for example, Sianya, you as a student are probably looking for internships or summer internship. Well, you can't just say, I want an internship. That's my goal. How do you get there, right? You say, how many applications am I going to submit? And you can say 10 a month, but you want to say, are they quality applications? Are they applications that are pertinent to my particular focus, my job, my experience? You might have to reduce that amount to maybe five a month where you actually spend more time honing in and refining the application, your resume. Instead of doing the other five that you were going to do, maybe say, okay, I'm going to reach out to 5 or 10 people on LinkedIn that work at XYZ companies that are related to my field of study. And that way you have a plan of attack and you start moving forward. And at the same time, you have an accountability buddy. It could be Mr. Mike Cruz, Alex Polo, myself, and say, hey, I'm going to touch in or touch base with you once a month or once a quarter, depending on what you want to do or depending on what that person wants to do and is able to do. And you can say, hey, not just touching base, but what actionable conversation am I going to have with this individual that is my accountability buddy? Am I going to report back to them saying, I reached out to 5 people on LinkedIn. I actually had a phone conversation that was beneficial with one of those individuals. Can you review my resume? I did a couple updates and maybe once a quarter reviewing resume over the phone, over a Zoom call is beneficial for you. You're moving forward. So that's what I'm getting to, Alex. I'm not saying that, having lofty goals is unmanageable. It's just trying to keep track and being accountable to what you want to achieve as an individual, setting some of those goals. So I hope that makes sense. Alex?
I'm just, I guess, I gotta say that I think what I said was maybe doesn't make sense to an engineering mind, right? and
Okay.
and that's the conflict that I've had throughout my career in sales,
Okay.
where a lot of these sales strategies and the ways of thinking don't correspond to engineering.
Okay.
like there's a conflict inside my mind. all the time. But yeah, I know where you're coming from, and that's the world of sales. Uh, how they teach you to think and how to see things and all that. That's all.
Okay, understood. The next question for you, Alex, is Mr. Mike Cruz, you have your hand up? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think when you set when we're setting goals, I think there's a different environment that we have to think of, and I think Alex kind of hit it on the nail on the head for me. Is that if you have a goal connected to money directly and success, like on a project, engineering project, you have to succeed, and then you have to do a little bit better. But maybe in a sales environment or another environment where you can set a what we used to call when I was riding with my buddy doing these multi-day bike trips, we would have a goal of 50 miles a day.
Mm,
But he always says, let's do a
mm,
stretch goal of 80 or 60 or something over 50. And a lot of times when we hit 50, he'd say, stretch goal, right? And so we'd go another 10 or 15, 20 miles or whatever. But I think when you have goals that can really affect an outcome in your life, that you really have to meet. I mean, there's more of a burden on you to when you set that goal to actually meet it and be successful in it. And it might mean, salary increase or a salary decrease, uh, something that would affect your living style or whatever. So I think goals to different people have different meanings. And so like Zanya in school, she may have some goals that if she doesn't succeed, well, she tried.
mm,
And I think that's what Alex is saying. We try to do the best we can with the goals we set. Even if we don't meet them, we're still successful. We still haven't failed in the long run because we know we have to continue on searching for those goals that we have in mind. Uh, for me, I'm kind of in the reverse. My goal was always to do 100 miles a week. Well, now I'm going, you know what? 60 to 80 is going to be it next year. I mean, so I'm reassessing my goals downward
right. Yeah,
because of my physical limitations.
yeah,
And my weight, yeah, hey, the tamales, they affected me, but so did the chocolate and the cookies and all that other stuff. So, I told Elijah I gained 5 to 7 pounds. Well, my goal is to lose 5 to 7 pounds and get back to my normal weight in the next couple of months, and that'll happen. But it's not it's a goal that you know uh, it's better for me to achieve.
yeah,
But if I don't do it, I mean, when I go see my doctor, he's gonna say, "Oh, you gained some weight. You better lose something."
yeah,
So I mean, it's a minor setback, so to speak. But you're aware of things that you have to do. I think goals make us aware of things that we would like to do, what we would like to achieve. Now, like I said before, that like and a must is going to be two different things when you associate them with goals.
yeah,
You must do it to achieve. If you don't achieve it, you don't get your bonus.
yeah, right.
And so those are some hard things that your business or your work may set on you to achieve. And that's another thing. Goals are not. We have self goals, but in your environment, you're going to have other people set your goals for you,
Yeah,
and you're going to have to respond to those. And how you respond to those is how you work your life. So goals has got a multifaceted a view of what you have to do and how they become.
right. And that's a good point because you, as an employee, you have goals for the company or for your job. But then at home, as a family person, right, you also have goals with the family of do we want to remodel XYZ bedroom or carpet or flooring, or do we want to upgrade to a car, a new car, or do we want to travel? And those are goals that you have to evaluate as well, right? And it has to be a joint effort in a family setting, or maybe the kids are, birthday parties or whatever, a milestone's coming up. A goal is to throw a party or have a celebration of sorts, right? So that's something that you also have to take into consideration. Obviously, it's not necessarily end of the world if it doesn't happen, but those are things that in a family life environment you also have to consider those. As far as other organizations that you belong to, what are the goals and expectations of you for this particular year? So those are also, as Mr. Mike Cruz indicated, multifaceted. You as an individual are not only one dimensional. There's many dimensions to you. So there might be different pools of goals, and you're trying as an individual to juggle several of those goals. It's not just to say, oh, on the 31st of December at midnight, I only have one pool of goals that I'm going to focus on. Well, you have to juggle quite a few of them, but you have to prioritize what's important for you. And if you must lose weight, going back to the weight thing, because of a health reason, you will do it, right? Because that's a non-negotiable. If you don't lose weight, then there's other repercussions for your health versus, it'd be nice if I lose 5, 10 pounds, but if it's not driving any pressure behind it, there's no incentive to do that or prioritize that, because life will take over and things will get ahead of it and something will replace that particular goal. So that's how it goes with work. And I think a lot of people that have goals at work, they achieve those more than they actually achieve the other external goals, because it's tied to their livelihood, it's tied to their money, and a lot of people focus on those, which is right. But at the same time, you have to say, okay, how do I balance? And this is where we come to the life work balance question. How do I balance life? If you're married, you have kids, how do you balance that time with them? How do you balance the effort that you're having with that particular aspect of your life? So that's an important conversation to also have. So any thoughts, Alex?
Uh, yeah, even just last night, at our office, our CEO was giving us a training, and he's been with the company, more than 30 years, and he's very successful. He's very well respected throughout the company on a national level and all. And he was talking about these goals that seemed out of out of reach. I mean, even at the end after the meeting, like a lot of people were like, "Oh man, this guy, what is he talking about?" But I mean, I understand where he was coming from, just because I've been in sales, pretty much my whole career, and it's about setting you know, these goals that are higher than what you uh, to to get you to another level, right? To the next level. Um, and then, sorry, your other question was what?
So my other question was literally, how do you balance, or life work balance? How do you chime that in when we refer to goals?
I mean, you mentioned a family. I mean, for me, I'm single, no kids. So it's I guess I my whole career I focused on my career, basically on my job, and also uh, in that sense, I guess it's easier for me to balance it. I whatever needs I have, I pretty much take care of them, uh, and focus on my work. That's it. I mean, if I had kids, I could understand the question of kid gets sick, you gotta take them to the doctor, you gotta uh, make sure there's food on the table, a roof over your head, and all that. So uh, I guess in that sense, I have it much easier than most people.
No, no, no. I mean, just a different perspective, I guess. Mr. Mike Cruz, you have your hand up, sir?
Yeah, back to Alex. When you were talking about your boss setting your goals, um, What were the consequences if you didn't make it? Were
None.
there
No,
any consequences?
oh
And what
no.
was the motive? What was the motivation to go for those big goals?
I mean, he was showing us how he did it, back when he started, and how he pushed himself and all, and that's why he's one of the most successful people in the company now. So he wants to us to understand, that. I mean, he's not
Right.
saying you need to follow my technique and all. He's just saying this is the way I did it, and if you follow this, you should have a lot of success as well. I mean, there's other people I know in the company that do it differently and have had the same level of success that he has. So yeah, there's no repercussion or anything. That's it's it's your business. So the company, it's like, if you want to do something, grow, whatever, you have the opportunity. If you don't, you don't have to. We're not going to fire you. We're not going to kick you out of the company or anything like that.
It sounds like the goals were more of a motivational speech, to get you motivated to be more successful. The
Yeah.
goals are out there, but you need to be motivated. So, and he's giving you an avenue or a methodology that, hey, this worked for me, and you may want to try it out. And but the goal, did he actually say, hey, this is the goal? You got to make
No.
so many millions of dollars in sale this year, or it's
Oh,
just
no,
a
no, no. I mean,
motivational thing?
again, in this business, it's 100% commission. So you decide how much you want to make, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's up to you. He's just providing his insight into how he did it and all that. So
Hmm. Okay. Now, the goals that you had last year, I'm assuming that some of them were not met. Do you simply just drop them? Do you carry them over? Do you reevaluate? Take a moment to consider, should I carry them over? And if you decide to do that, how do you do it? What's the process? And let's see, Alex, if you have any thoughts on that.
yeah, I mean, if they are life goals, then you see where what you're able to achieve, and then what's the next step. I mean, in having goals, there's the short-term goals, there's the midterm goals, and there's the long-term goals. So you have to always have all of them, all three of those categories filled, and and each one requires monitoring, and especially the long-term goals, the year to year, how closer you are to approaching those goals. The short-term goals, well, those are like you said, the weight losing, right? Like, were you able to achieve the weight losing? And an example of what I was talking about, like, let's say you say, yeah, I want to lose 20 pounds, but then you say to yourself 30. You know if you have a goal of 30, then there's a good chance you might at least hit the 20 pounds. you
Mhm.
know so Mike was talking about the bike ride, do the extra 30 miles, but if you do 60, you still went over 50, even though you didn't hit the 80.
Yeah.
So that's more of what I was trying to say.
Yeah, and that's I guess that Mr. Mike Cruz called it the stretch goal, right? Stretch goal. So
Yeah.
that's a good one. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, let me comment. You got me thinking, guys.
Yeah.
About goals, and the only goals I had two goals when I was working. One was in the laboratory, and one was for me as a management development program. In the laboratory, we had turnaround problems. We get a piece of vitamin for calibration, and it's supposed to take less than 30 days to turn it around, or 15 days, or whatever. I forget whatever it was. So I finally assigned somebody to monitor that, and he set up a system of monitoring the turnaround time based upon the data that was submitted by the employees, and awareness of those types of goals was a big thing. You can set a goal within the corporation, but if you don't monitor it or make it visible, or have something on the, a lot of companies will have something on the wall with the chart that goes up and goes down based upon the goals that you're setting and the activities that you're doing. So I think one thing about goals, if you even internally or within work, it has to have some visibility. You have to be able to monitor it and say if you're doing good or you're not doing good. And that program lasted in the laboratory lasted about 6 months. Then it just kind of died out. And that's again is the attention span of the human mind, doing something and keep it. And if you kind of meet your goal for a while, then that challenge goes away if you meet it.
Mhm.
The other goal that I had was I was on a 5-year management development program, and I had to set up my short-term and long-term goals. And I had to sit down for my long-term goals. What was my objective of this whole program? I never, I'm just a worker bee, I'm just, and I put down, I want to be director of the laboratory.
Mhm.
Stretch goal, man. I mean, who would have thought, you could become director of the laboratory? You came through as a GS5 technician and working your way up, et cetera, et cetera. But in the program, they said, hey, you need to set these goals and make them manifested. And so I set up my 3 to 5 year plan. And there are a lot of things to do over those 5 years. Now, what happened if I wasn't successful in those 5 year and the 5 year plan? It was a learning experience what you went through. The goals made you do things that you probably wouldn't have done before. Go to the Capitol Hill and have a workshop there, or learn something, or read a book, or whatever. So I think goals make you do things that you may not have wanted to do, or weren't even aware of doing, to better
Hmm.
your situation. And so that 5 year plan really did motivate me to do all these things. Consequently, I did become laboratory director. I mean, that all worked out, but I think setting goals is making you aware of your surroundings, aware of things that maybe you need to do to become better, not yourself, but also the company. So goals are good, but they have to be realistic, and you have to give them attention and make them visible, and be able to chart them and tell them if you're succeeding or not.
Did you, when you were setting some of those goals, did you have a mentor or some sort of guidance or conversation outside of the lab personnel that you said, hey, I came up with three goals. Maybe, one of them, I want to be lab director in 5 years. Uh, and what they say, how did that conversation go?
I had a senior engineer as my mentor, one of
Okay.
my mentors. He was the senior engineer of the whole group at North Island, and he had been through this program before, and he sent me off to Naval Postgraduate School. He got me into that. He opened the door for me to do that. Uh, yeah, I had some guidance and I had some help, and people were aware that I was in the programs, especially the training director at the time, as well as my mentor. Um, yeah, you can't. I think if you really think about it, when you set your goals for life or work or whatever, you don't have all the answers.
Hmm.
You need somebody on the outside to slap you in the face and say, hey, no, you can't do that. Oh, yeah, you can do that. Like Zanya was saying, this imposter syndrome, can you do it or can you not do it? Well, you need somebody on the outside to tell you, hey, I think you can do it. You try it, da 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 da, or whatever. If this goal is way out of things, you have to do this preparedness thing. You never say no to a goal,
Yeah.
and if it's not achievable, you need to find out how you're going to be successful in making that happen.
Yeah.
And that's going to take the work. That's going to take the research. That's going to take the stepping back and working with other people to find out what you need to do,
Yeah.
because you don't have all the answers, and you're working in an environment where other people have already been, and you need to take in from those. And so I had a lot of help from program management up at Navair down to locally the local engineering people, and I had opportunities to learn from a lot of different people, a lot of different areas that I would never had the opportunity to do before. I mean, when you sit in the Armed Services Committee room up in Washington, D.C., you get to ask some questions that you would have never asked before. And so now you're learning. And those opportunities were all part of the goal setting that was internal to my program that had all these opportunities.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So that with coupled with the training that you had, coupled with the exposure and mentorship that you had, allowed you to navigate through some of those difficult goals and lofty goals that were set or that you set for yourself. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's really good insight, good information. We don't have all the answers when we set goals, right? We don't have all the map and roadmaps of how to achieve the goal, but the idea is to set the goal and seek out a way to achieve the goal. And maybe that comes down to mentorship or seeking out guidance and finding out how to do something if you don't really know. Alex, you have your hand up, sir?
Yeah, just to agree with what Mike said about the mentor, I think that that's very important. Uh, I mean, currently, right now at the financial office, I have a mentor there, and he's great. He's been in the business, 20 years, and even back to when I started going to sales, my manager back then was my mentor, and another good thing about these goals that Mike was mentioning, and I think he was alluding to it, is that it gets you out of your comfort zone, and that's a good thing because I think what Mike was saying, it these goals cause you to take some sort of action that you might not have thought of, and I think that's goes in because you're out of your comfort zone. So you got to start making these decisions. And I mean, I remember when I started sales back in 2003, when my boss first asked me, I said no to him. 3 times I said no to him. And finally I just said, this guy's, I don't know what he sees in me, but I guess I'll give it a shot. And ever since then, I fell in love with the sales engineering career. And 2 years ago when I started in the finances, again I felt the same way. I'm like, I don't think this is for me. I don't think this is uh you know this is totally different than what I've ever done. But then I started seeing all these similarities with what I was currently doing, and what I tell people now is like, yeah, I'm still doing engineering. It's just financial engineering. Designing these plans for people and based on their goals, financial goals in life. Then you design all these things around it, so people can achieve those goals.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
let me comment again.
yep.
Um, I had one goal that I didn't make. I guess it was a significant one. I ran for the school board down here in the South Bay, but the goal was set. I worked with a bunch of people that were activists within the educational environment here in the South Bay, and they wanted me to run for school board, and I said yeah. And then as I was in it, I realized that the goal that was set for me by others and myself, my heart wasn't in it. The goal was set, and I did all the work. I gave them the money. You need money to run for office. So, financial, I put in, and and people worked behind me, and we had the whole thing going, et cetera, et cetera. But in the end, I didn't succeed. I didn't win the seat. Thank God, because it would have been politics. But the thing was, if you set a goal, and you work with somebody else, like the motivation came from outside to set this goal for me. And I said, I said yes at first, and then I realized it probably wasn't the best choice for me. As a practicing engineer going into politics, da 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 da. So I think when you do set a goal, your mindset has to be with that goal that, hey, yeah, I'm going to do it. If there's doubt or reservation, then you need to reevaluate that goal or negate it and do something different. But if your heart's not in with the goal setting, don't do it.
And that's okay, and reevaluating, and sometimes you can do it mid-year review type of setting. And if it's not something that you really set on accomplishing, maybe switching it out, dropping it, putting something else in its place that you really feel more focused on, it's okay. We did hear or did read, Sanya said, imposter syndrome, right? That one we've over the last couple of years we've been hearing imposter syndrome, where students or even professionals don't believe that they can achieve a certain thing, or even when they actually are in a position, they don't feel that they fit that particular role. They second guess their abilities. They question their right to be there, but maybe they need to reassess and say, okay, what do I need? Where do I feel deficient? And why do I feel this way? What goals do I need to hit in order for me to feel more comfortable, right? If it's training, maybe you need to be proactive and say to your manager or to your job, I need some sort of additional training, and seek that out. But you have to assess yourself. And this is where awareness comes in about your abilities, your potential, and what you are really interested and invested in doing, right? If you don't really feel comfortable reaching out to your manager and saying, I really want training or need training, then maybe you don't really want to be in that position. Maybe your goal is to, everybody wants a paycheck, so you just want to be there, get a paycheck, and do something outside. And that's okay, but you need to come with terms with that particular mindset and say, I'm okay with that. And that could be a goal that you drop. If you wanted to be a director, and all of a sudden you're seeing that in that particular corporation, directors have too much to do or burned out. Maybe you're seeing that there's a high divorce rate because there's a lot of working hours that go into it, a lot of sacrifice, and you're saying, maybe that's not something that I really want. You have to be able to read those signs and reassess. And you can say, I might want to be an individual contributor for a little bit longer, and maybe seek out other opportunities. It could be within other departments, it could be within other company. Maybe you have to reassess some of that. So that could be a mid-year effort as well, or even now, if you were thinking about possibly jumping into a master's, and all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, maybe this is not the route that I wanted to. Well, we heard Alex Polo a couple episodes ago say he wanted to pursue, being a patent attorney, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
right, and he reassessed and he said, maybe this is not for me. So Alex, I don't know if you want to go back and reminisce on that one and bring it up again.
Yeah, no, you read my mind. I mean, I was thinking about that as you were speaking, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna raise my hand again to mention. So you beat me to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this happened what 13 years ago when I had a well, the first idea to go to law school happened back in 2000. When I was dating a girl, she was gonna study criminal law and all that, and she told me to accompany her to a law school fair that she was applying for law schools, and I'm like, all right. And then when I was there, I was talking to, I was just standing there next to a table, and the guy from that university called me over. He's like, "Hey, so why are you here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just here with my girlfriend and supporting her." And she's like, "So what about you? You don't want to do law or anything?" And I was like, "No, this is not for me. I'm an engineer." And then at that moment, he planted the seed in my head. He was like, "Oh, you don't know what you're missing out on." you know. So for like the next 10 years or so, that seed kept growing in my mind.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then one day it hit me. I'm like, maybe that guy, was trying to tell me something that I didn't see. So I started researching the law schools and patent attorneys and all that, and yeah, it seemed very interesting that as an engineer you could do something in law, and so then I went for it. I took the LSAT. I applied to law school, got in law school. But then when I was there was when I started meeting patent attorneys. I didn't know any patent, and maybe I should have done that. Met patent attorneys and talked to them to see what the career was about. But that's when I realized that, oh man, I don't think I'm going to enjoy this. I mean, it's a great career, but I had to come to the realization that it wasn't going to be for me. So that's when I said, no, I should, you know, go back to my career that I love as a
And,
sales
and
engineer.
and that's fine, and that's fine. That's why we bring it up because if you need to reassess, maybe some of those goals might not be what you were really wanted to achieve, and maybe somebody else put them in there, like Inception. It's a thought that came in from an external party, and all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, maybe I can do this, but it's not something, as Mr. Mike Cruz alluded to. He went for the school board position, and all of a sudden he realized I don't really want to pursue that. My passion is more being in the trenches, volunteering with the actual students, impacting one-on-one or a couple classes. But I don't want to be, a politician sitting in a desk behind a bunch of paper dealing with a lot of other politicians. So that's something that you as an individual have to reassess. And that's where we're going with this. Mr. Mike Cruz, you have your hand up?
Yeah, and I'm thinking back on my decision not to do that. I'm trying to think of the critical element that made me say, this is not for me. And I think you kind of alluded to it. I liked working with the students at the time. I was with SHIP, and I liked working in the lab, and so the environment that I had, I was comfortable with.
Hmm.
The school board environment was a totally different environment. It was kind of, I won't say cutthroat or whatever, but you're making decisions about a lot of money for a lot of jobs locally, et cetera, et cetera. So my question back to you, Alex, what was the critical factor that said, a patent law is not for me? Was it a comfort thing? Like for me, it took me out of my comfort zone a lot.
Yeah. So when I got to law school, I was able to meet with 7 different patent attorneys, and you know s- uh, almost all of them. Yeah, they took me to their offices. They showed me what they did, and all the books they had in their office and that they had to read and all. And that's when it started to hit me. I'm like, and even one of them was like, yeah, your engineering skills will play a role in as a patent attorney, but in the end, you gotta realize that you're not gonna be an engineer. You're gonna be a lawyer. and and that was a big one that hit me when he told me that. And I mean, I kind of had already thought that and all, but then after really seeing it and seeing that, you know, that's what they were doing and all, that was the big realization for me. So yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a good experience. I'm not saying that I regret that decision going to law school. I mean, I learned a lot of things. Uh, Learned to appreciate the law. Learned to appreciate lawyers. The necessary evil in our community. But no, I have a lot of respect for lawyers.
Yeah,
Well,
but it does.
Alex, I think I can comment on that too because running for an office it's political. You got to knock on doors. You got to give out flyers. You got to do it on the weekends. So that whole environment of politicking and running for a school board was. I'm going. You know what? That's not for me. I mean, I did it. I mean, I had to do it because I was invested in it. But and then you have to run for, then you have to do it all over again after, when your term goes up. If you want to stay on the board, you got to do it again. So there's a lot of work in politicking. There's a lot of money that has to be exchanged. You have to fess up some money too, make a commitment, and then you have to gather money, and then what I really was aware of, what made me aware of in politicking is as my campaign went on, it was only, I think, 7 or 8, maybe less than $10,000 total. But guess what? You had markers out. You owed people
Oh,
because they did things for you financially, as well as giving up their time and walking for you and doing things. So uh, just before the election, I'm going. I owe a lot of people a lot of things, and they're going to come asking.
mm,
I mean, you as a politician are not alone up there by yourself,
Yeah, yeah,
and
that's
so you create debt on the way up, and that debt has to be repaid in some form or another. And I was in a situation one time where I made a decision of $500,000, and the guy came that was helping me out. He says, "Oh, by the way, we can do this, and we can get some of that money back." And I'm going, "Oh, wait a minute, we, you know, so I can't double deal. I mean, it's once you make a deal and you say you're going to do it, you got to run through it, and owing people to say, because later on, because if you're on the school board, basically you're just managing a budget,
yeah,
and it was $120 million at the time, and $90 million was for salaries, and that you're going to get the teachers union and stuff like that. But the other 30-40 million dollars was in contracts, building a fence, building a wall. Who's going to get that contract? And you have to make that decision as part of the board. And are you going to get asked for favors from the board members as well as the population, the people that helped you with your campaign? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm glad I didn't get involved in that, because that's what the business is about: money, and about people that supported you, and you have your IOUs out there, and you had debt, and uh, that was an environment for me.
wow, that's an interesting one. Thank you, Mr. Mike Cruz. Thank you for sharing. Around the room, Alex Polo, anything to add in regards to brand new year, new goals, carrying goals forward? Anything that you want to add?
well, I mean, now that I'm in this new career, yeah, it's just a matter of these goals that I have to accomplish, that I have to set myself and all, and it's a new career, so new type of goals, but again, it's something that goes along with how I've always planned throughout my career and everything. So yeah, we'll see. And yeah, they higher than what I think I can realistically achieve? Yes.
Okay, so we're going for that 10 million revenue. Okay, I get it. Okay, got it.
And I mentioned earlier that I don't regret going to law school, but now that I know what I know about money and how it works and everything, you know, that law school thing, because I didn't work for, and the debt and everything, it did end up costing me around, now that I run the numbers, around 200K, right? So, but and now that I'm looking at it now, I'm like, man, with that money, if I had invested in a plan that that we offer, I'm like, I'd be a millionaire now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you learn from your mistakes, I
But
guess.
yeah, no, that exactly.
Yeah,
It's not. I'm not saying I regret it. I'm just saying that it's an experience,
yeah,
and life is full of these experiences, whether good or bad.
yeah,
Just learn from them. Yeah.
yeah. Awesome, awesome. Mr. Mike Cruz, anything to add as we close it
Yeah,
up?
I'm looking at Zanya there. Yes, when you set your goals, write them down, make a chart, monitor them. That's the way you're going to be successful in your goals. Because if you write them down on the 1st of January, you make a list of them, and you put them in the desk, and you don't look at them anymore, they're going to be hard to achieve. So make a little chart if you can, or a little running notes to yourself. Hey, I've lost or done or gained or whatever. Keep a little chart, and make it work. Goals are good, uh, and for me, uh, I don't think I had the imposter syndrome, because I always felt that I could do anything that was put in on my plate. So that was my mental attitude. Whatever was on the plate, I will try and achieve to do. And I think I've been successful at most of those things, even though I didn't know how to do it, I referenced, I looked up material, I talked with people, and they helped me succeed. So when you succeed, a lot of times it's with others. They're going to help you along the way. So don't be afraid to ask as you set your goals and you need some external advice. Go do it. And so, like Alex said, he had mentors. I had mentors. I think Lazaro has a mentor now. So, and hopefully you have a mentor to help you along. Uh, uh, feel free and open to take advice, and then challenge yourself to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah. Happy New Year. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, we close it out. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Hasta luego. Bye bye.
All right. Happy New Year, everyone. All right, bye.
You.